Welcome to the another episode of the Agency Insider Show. I'm your host Navneet Kaushal, and today we have a truly special guest, someone who has built a rock solid reputation in the SEO and digital marketing space. He has ranked for some of the most challenging keywords, coached agency owners, and built retention system that many in the industry admire. Please welcome my dear friend Gregory.
Hi, Nav. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm really appreciative of being here and super excited. So thank you.
Same here, same here. Gregory, before we dive into the SEO and the business talk, can you share a bit about yourself beyond the industry? What's something most people don't know about?
A good one is I actually have a culinary arts degree. So before I ever got into marketing or anything else, I wanted to be a chef. That was like my dream from when I was much younger as a child. So I went to culinary school, graduated, and to make a long story short, in my very last semester of culinary school, when I was getting my associate's degree, I realized it really wasn't for me, and I didn't really realize it until I went to my externship. That's when I went ahead and I went to one of the restaurants in Manhattan, I can call it Don Gorgeous, and I went ahead and did my externship there. And when I was doing it, I realized not only was it way more work than I expected it to be, but it was nothing but pure grunt work. So it's just, peeling potatoes all day or cutting just the onions and everything for like all the other chefs because you start from the bottom.
Right.
And in New York City, you take the train for the most part home. So I'd go home every day smelling like onions. And I'd see people like looking around like, what's that smell? And I'm here so embarrassed. And I'm like, I don't stink. But I know me being around all the onions and everything all day, it does. And I just really didn't like it. It was like, wow, is this what I want to do for like the rest of my life? And at the same time, I had been working as a part-time associate in H&M, the clothing company. And the district manager had been bothering me for about 3 months to become a department manager. And I was like, no, I'm going to culinary school, going to culinary school. So when I realized it really wasn't for me anymore, I went ahead and asked them, I said, hey, like, how much were you guys thinking of paying? And their starting salary was $14,000 more than I would have started as a chef at the bottom. And I'm like, okay, you guys are good. I'm going to go ahead and take that deal. So I did. I went into retail and a whole bunch of things happened after that. Eventually, I got into marketing, but that's something most people don't know is I can cook really well. I love it. It's something I'm
I
passionate
didn't
about.
know
I
any.
watch.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
I know the retail thing I'm gonna bring later, but I didn't know
Yeah.
about the so it's
Yeah. So cooking is like one of my favorite things in the world to do. I still cook almost every single day. My girlfriend loves it. I cook very well, at least according to what everyone tells me. I watch cooking shows every single day still. I'm like obsessed with it. I just don't want to do that for a career. I love it as a
okay. That's interesting. Next time I'm gonna have some, some things up from you.
hey, the very next time we get together, absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
Sure. Now let's talk a little bit about the journey from retail to SEO. Of course, you bought that as well. So you had an interesting career transition from working at a retail company to building a successful SEO agency. Can you walk us through that journey and what actually sparked your interest in SEO?
Yeah, sure. So that's another thing that some people know, like the ending part of the story, but not really the beginning. So I'll kind of give you an overall of everything. So, like I mentioned, the culinary aspect, most people don't know, and that's how I got into H&M. I became a department manager. Long story short, in there, I actually was doing very well that they kept wanting to promote me. So I kept getting promotions and I kept skipping certain levels that there were in H&M to where I was. Eventually, I became one of the only four operation managers that we had in the entire United States. And they
Okay.
sent me to go open the first West Coast store over in San Francisco when they first opened. So I loved working at H&M and things were going well. But then I ended up meeting the young lady who became my wife at the time, who gave birth to my beautiful son that you happen to see. Where is it? Right over here on the camera? Yeah, right there. Um, Ended up giving birth to my son. And at that point, I was like, okay, we're doing good, but I want to make more money. So I kept getting offers from different companies, and one of them in particular, Bed Bath and Beyond, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. They offered me 20,000 more than I was making at H&M. I went to them, said, "Hey, H&M, like these guys are offering me 20K more. Is there anything you could do?" They didn't want to match it, so I left. Then I ended up working there for about 5 years, and the first year was okay, but every year after, I was miserable. I couldn't stand it, and Couldn't stand it for a variety of reasons. First off, it was tough working there. They treated all the managers like shit, which I didn't really appreciate or understand. And then the culture there wasn't that great to begin with. But I had a son, and I'm like, I'm making a lot of money. I can't stop working here because I need to provide for my son. Then I started to realize I'm missing all of his first walk, his first time talking, his first time doing this, as many fathers end up missing, right? Going to work. And it sucked because for me, I didn't really grow up with a dad, so I wanted to make sure that I was there for my son, seeing everything that I could. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? Now, at the time, I was pretty familiar on how to build websites. It's something that I had done as like a hobby back when the old AOL days, you had encode through HTML and kind of everything else, as you know, right? So I knew how to do that. I also was very familiar with WordPress at the time. And I'm like, okay, I can build a website, so why can't I build a business? So I was on Reddit, and there was actually someone who did like an over-the-shoulder study of them starting a cleaning company. And what they did, their whole thing was they would have people that they would find on Craigslist that would handle all the cleaning. They just had the website that would take the payments, and they would advertise for people to come in and go ahead and, book appointments. So I was like, let me try this. So I tried it, and it was actually working out okay. But then I realized Yelp was taking most of the money because I was doing Yelp ads and everything else. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So I went ahead and looked how to get more traffic to my website. Lo and behold, I hear this thing called search engine optimization. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then it's funny because through my research, I ended up on Pat Flynn's website. I don't know if it's still active now, but back then it was. And on there, he did an interview with a gentleman named Alex Becker. So Alex Becker was hilarious to me. I was like, who is this guy? This guy's crazy. Like some of the stuff he's saying is funny. So I went ahead, tried to follow him on social media. And that same night, he was actually hosting a webinar where he had a bunch of people in a group that he learned from. He learned SEO, and they explained what it is, how powerful it is, and what it can do. I was so enamored by everything that I saw and hearing everyone's story, and especially the stories of the people who were able to quit their day jobs and do this full time, that I'm like, wow, this is like something that I want to do. If anyone can make it happen, I believe in myself. I know I can make it. So I then decided to go ahead and without telling my wife at the time, charge it on the credit card. It was our emergency credit card. And I said, I got 1 month. If I can't make it happen in 1 month, I'm screwed because I'm putting all my, kind of like all my cards in, so to speak, on this, all my chips rather, into this. So let me go ahead and see if I can make this happen. And luckily for me, I understood things very quickly, and you understand, Nav, and obviously most of your listeners do too, that once you get into this field, this is a field for us where it just clicks for us. Like everyone finds something in life that clicks for them. For me, it was SEO. It was just like, oh, I understand this. This is natural to me. I really like this. So within the first month, I was able to go ahead and rank for New York City SEO, which at the time, everyone in that group was trying to rank for their own city and SEO at the time. So was most of the people in the industry. And everyone was surprised that of me being able to do it within the first month. They're like, wow, you're like number one in the first month. Like, what are you doing differently? And for me at the time, it was one of those things where I'm like, this clicks, this works. So I'm going to continue to do this. And I couldn't quit my job right away because, yeah, I got 1 month of making good money because I started to get clients and I was making anywhere from 20 to 40K in the first month, which is great money. It was more than, thinking back on it, I'm like, wow, in like 2 months, I was making more than I was the whole year. But at the same time, I couldn't just quit because it wasn't stable. Like, it's great this month, but I don't know if it's going to be like this 6 months from now, a year from now. So it was kind of scary to want to go ahead and take that full dive. But eventually I did. I ended up leaving Bed Bath & Beyond, and I always keep actually my ID card right here from Bed Bath & Beyond from all those years ago. I Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, this is a much younger version of me. This is about 11 and a half years. Actually, this is when I first started. So this would have been 5 years prior. So this is 16 years ago
Wow.
because I left there 11 years ago, but this was taken when I first started, which was 5 years prior. So I still keep it on my desk and also sometimes post it up on the side on one of my whiteboards, just always to remind me like why I started, how I started, and to never go back to it. It's just my own personal motivation. But that was kind of my transition from retail into SEO, how I fell into it through the cleaning company, learning SEO, finding Alex Becker, and kind of getting things going there. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I just wanted to give you the full
It's
context of the
interesting.
story.
Interesting. So now the thing is, you started ranking. Now the next question, natural question comes: how did you land your first SEO client, and what lessons did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, so for me, landing my first SEO client, and I understand that like some of the things that we're going to say on this interview is not going to be typical for most people. And I want your audience to understand that too. For me, I was very fortunate in the sense that I was already part of a group of SEO people, and many people in those group and other groups as well, they happen to be business owners that are trying to learn SEO. Like that's what I was originally, right? I wanted to have this clean company and I wanted to grow it. It wasn't my intention originally to run an SEO agency. It just worked out that way. But because there are business owners in there and people started to see how well I was doing, my first client was literally other members that said, "Hey, I own a business. I see you're doing great. You actually have proof because I can see it with my own eyes by going to Google and typing in New York City SEO. Like, can you help me in my business?" And that's how I was able to get my first, I want to say 20 to 50 clients, all mainly was from word of mouth of people knowing me ranking and them wanting their own businesses to get ranked. So I know that's not going to be typical for everyone, but what I would recommend to everyone is if you don't have something public that people can see with their own eyes ranked already, maybe focus on that first because there are so many people who want search engine optimization done for their business, but they've been burned by so many bad agency owners and other bad people in the past that all they really want to see is proof. They want to feel like, hey, I can trust this person. And the first step is, hey, showing you can actually do what it is that you do. And it doesn't need to be something super competitive. Most of these owners, business owners, they don't understand like what the level of competition is. They just see with their own eyes, holy crap, I go into Google, I type in this, and you have a website ranked there number one, just like you said they would. I would like that to be my business. So
Right,
that's how
right,
I
right.
got my first client.
Now, looking back, of course, what advice would you give to someone looking to transition from a traditional job to a career in SEO?
Yeah, so the first thing that I would say is you want to make sure that this is something you're going to want to do for moving forward. And what I mean by that is this field isn't for everyone. And if I try to break that down, it's more of a thing of you have to keep in mind that it's not all like puppies, rainbows, and candy canes, right? It's just not. Like you end up dealing with clients, and clients are people. And some clients are just, for lack of a better term, assholes. They just happen to be. And some of them are great. You're going to have that mixture of everything. It's like any other business in life. But what you need to make sure I would recommend is you are someone who is organized and disciplined. So many people I've seen over the years, so many people I've taught over the years, and so many people I've seen try to get into this over the years can't handle it because they're too relaxed. And what I mean is like they don't take this seriously as though it's a real job. It's a real job. You still have to sit down every single day. You still have to do work every single day. Yes, it's great that you can pick up a laptop and live a lifestyle where you could take a week or a month off and do things, but that lifestyle that you see some people live all the time, that's not for everyone. It's a very small percentage of people that can do that. So keep in mind that you're still going to have a job. The bonus is you don't have a boss that's an asshole that you need to listen to. The only boss that is an asshole is yourself, right? And you can be as hard on yourself as you like or as easy on yourself as you like. But you need to make sure that you're disciplined because if you have no discipline, it's so easy to be home and working from home and find a million and one things that you can do off of the computer that'll take up your day. And then you realize I'm letting the ranking slip on my own agency. I'm letting my clients' ranking slip. I'm not getting new acquisition of new clients. All those things take place when you're not focusing on your business. So first thing is making sure you are a disciplined person. If you're not, that's okay. Many people learn how to become disciplined. I wasn't 100% disciplined when I started. A bunch of these books behind me actually helped me become disciplined. And a bunch of networking and speaking with other friends is also the most important thing. I would actually recommend that as the second thing. If you're not in a community already, a good one, make sure you're a part of one. It doesn't need to be like a paid community necessarily. It should just be a community of other people like you that are interested in the field or already doing it in the field so that way you can kind of hear from them their struggles because once again like what worked for me or didn't work for me may not be the same for everyone out there, right? Everyone's going to run to different things, and one of my favorite parts of this entire industry is hearing everyone else's experience. Like I like to hear from other people, hey, what struggles have you faced? Because some of the struggles they face, I may not have faced them yet, but now I'm going to be prepared when I do. Because for example, like if you shared with me now a struggle that you faced and I haven't reached it, or maybe it just hasn't happened yet, when it does happen, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to reach out to you and say, hey, I'm facing this right now. Can you tell me how you got through it? And it's going to go ahead and speed things up. So I say the big two is making sure you are disciplined and you have a good community around you. After that, you can kind of do anything, right? You have the support system, you have the discipline, then it's all just on you actually going out there and getting things done.
Right. I know when I started, I used to work almost 15, 16 hours, not out of compulsion, but out of passion for SEO. I mean, so I remember right since 2005 until today, we rank in top 5 for a keyword like SEO company India and never lost it. Never.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's super dope.
Yeah. A lot of time people come and they say, oh, we recognize you are one company which never moved out. What do you do? I swear I
That's
just
great.
don't touch the website too many days. Yeah.
That's great.
Yes. Now you have taught thousands about SEO. If you were to mentor someone today making a similar transition, what advice would you give?
Yeah, so it would be somewhat similar to what I just mentioned as far as discipline and having a good support system. But if we're taking it even a step further, it's making sure that you are understanding and living and breathing our industry because things change so rapidly. I mean, honestly, if we think about it, right, like 2, 3 years ago, yeah, some AI existed, but it was nowhere near what it is now. The entire landscape has changed. And there are so many people that I know in the industry that are now starting to implement AI. And I'm like, you're so far behind everyone else that already implemented it, you're never going to catch up to them. So making sure you're staying on top of what's happening in the industry. There's so many people who can just get locked into what they're doing, focus just on what they're doing, and lose sight of what's happening in the industry. You definitely don't want to do that. So that kind of also boils back to having a good support system. Like I'll hear things from my friends and buddies. Oh my God, I'm trying X, Y, and Z. I'm getting results with this. I've tried this and this didn't work. So many friends of mine are doing, if you, for lack of a better term, like testing for me, essentially without it really being for me. They're testing for themselves, but they're sharing those results with me. So now I don't need to do those tests because I can understand what works and doesn't work. So if I was mentoring someone today, I'd say the big thing is making sure you find yourself your own circle of people that are just as passionate about this field as you are. Because if it's just me mentoring you and it's just the two of us, you're only going to get so motivated by me. You're only going to find out so much information from me. But when you have multiple people in your circle, they don't need to necessarily be experts in the field. They could be on the same level as you. But as they're trying things and getting things going, you can do different tests. You can have this group of people. I mean, it kind of reminds me of, and it's funny because a lot of us, yourself included, have done this kind of going throughout our entire journey. But someone who spoke about it really well in an interview I watched was Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast mentioned that when he first got into things, it was him and a group of, I think it was 4 or 5 other people who all they did was test things in the YouTube algorithm and they shared it with each other. It was like their own little mini mastermind. They were all friends. And all of them, except for one, I think he said, went on to continue to become millionaires because they understood the algorithm, what to do, and how to get things going. You find yourself a small little circle like that, that is more valuable to me than kind of anything else. That would be the first thing I'd mentor everyone. Other than that, it's just technical stuff when I'm mentoring someone like, hey, what's an anchor text? What's a good anchor text? What's a bad anchor text? That kind of stuff, which you can kind of get from all over the place. But I'd say getting your circle is probably the most important thing.
Right. Uh, let's talk about a little bit about longevity in the SEO industry. Of course, we've both been quite long in the industry now. Now, most people burn out or struggle to sustain an SEO business for over a decade. You have been in this space for 11 plus years. So what's your secret?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say it's like one thing in particular, but I'm kind of like everyone else. Eventually, it gets to a point where you start to feel like you're getting a little burned out. We all experience it. Like, no one is going to go through any field, regardless if it's SEO or anything else. No one's going to be in one field as an entrepreneur, business owner, everything on your shoulders for 10 plus years and never face fears, never face bad times, good times. I mean, it's like anything else. You're going to face times where it's like you feel like the world is crashing on you. There's also going to be times where your business is going great, but maybe stuff in your personal life is going terrible. How do you manage that too? There's so many different things. And I know I keep mentioning it, but for me, it's support system. Like I have surrounded myself with some of the best friends in this industry and some of them even outside of when it comes to personal things that just enable me to continue moving forward. And also mentorship is super important. Like I've had mentors throughout my entire 10-year career. Well, 11-year now, I forget we're in 2025, but my entire 11-year career now, where if I'm struggling with something or I don't understand something, or maybe I'm just in a funk, I have people that I can reach out to kind of help pull me out of it. Now, those people aren't responsible for getting you out of whatever ditch you dug yourself into, but they can help show you the way. They can provide a little bit of guidance, say, hey, when I faced that, I did X, Y, and Z. And if you don't have anyone in your circle like that who maybe has that experience, that's fine. Sometimes just talking to someone is also good. Like I often find in our industry, the people who usually end up not staying too long, they don't really have a good support system. And it's not so much that they're not finding out what's testing and what's working, like I spoke about earlier. It's just having someone else to talk about things with. Like, obviously not better than anyone else. Like, there are times when you're in this industry and things feel lonely. And it's because your head is down, you're working, and you're not talking to someone else about what's going on, what's pissing you off, what's frustrating you, what's not
Right.
working. But jumping on just a Zoom call with a buddy that you happen to just see maybe at only conferences, for example, but you jump on Zoom with them, it boosts your mood. Like right now, we're on the StreamYard together, right? I'm in a great mood now. I was in a good mood earlier, but I'm in a much better mood now. Why? Because you are one of my brothers in this field that I'm talking to. I'm excited to see you. And you need to have that because you don't want to isolate yourself where the only people around you don't understand what you're doing. Like there's a lot of people who they'll get in this field and their only support system is their family, which is great for their personal life. But your family can't understand what's happening business wise because they don't know the struggles of what's happening. They don't understand that your website can be making money 1 second, and the next second, if it's penalized manually by Google, you lost all your income. They don't understand that stuff. So having these discussions with people in the industry is super important, and I feel it's one of the key factors for my longevity. Obviously, another huge part of longevity is just delivering, right? Like you need to be able to get results for your clients, for your own websites, for everything else. And that should go without saying, but it's also one of the biggest key components in longevity is delivering as well. But I would say a good system where you can speak to people about your own struggles in this industry is super important.
Right. I absolutely agree with it. A lot of these resonates with me as well. Because when I started, there were no friends, no masters minds, nothing. I was blind from almost from 2002 to I think 2008. I didn't have any industry friends.
Just 6 years of yourself. So if you don't mind, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What was it like during those 6 years? Do you feel like it was much more of a struggle during those 6 years when you didn't have a support system in this industry, compared to now you having a support system? What do you?
I would say personally, it was very smooth because you were like the king of the SEO. I had a lot of US clients. I mean, it's a funny story. We would actually put on our website, sold out for 3 months. So
That's
I
awesome. That's cool.
used to do sold out. We can't take more clients, and that was the thing. So it was like I started doing blogs around 2006 and 8, but then around 2010 I started speaking as well. So I've been blogging since 2006, but I started speaking around 2010 onwards. So probably would have spoken around 200 conferences or plus. So
That's
then
awesome.
I started meeting people, and then I started meeting my competitors who felt very comfortable. They became good friend of mine, and
That's
then
great.
how I started. So they started talking about things I didn't knew. For example, in 2010, 11, I first time heard about PBNs. So I didn't know what PBNs are. I was stuck, but in 2011, they were my friends doing PBN then.
Mm.
So yes. So that
Thank you for
was some.
sharing. There's one thing you mentioned there too that was kind of interesting and cool is that you mentioned your competitors became your friends, which I love because there's a lot of people also in the industry when they get started because you ask what can people do for longevity. You shouldn't really look at your competitors as like your enemies. Too many times people look at it like, oh, well, they're the opposition. Like I don't really want to mess with them. That's not the case. Like one of my closest friends actually happened to be the person who told me the day I became #1 for New York City SEO, he was #2. He kept on trying to become #1. He reached out to me and told me, hey, congratulations, you're #1. We became, at this point, lifelong friends now. And we're still obviously going back and forth for a lot of different keywords, but we don't look at it like competition. There's so much space for everyone. You don't need to
Yes.
look at everyone as competitors because what ends up happening is you end up creating enemies and you just end up just keeping yourself short of finding out more information, more connections. Because in this industry, there's a lot you can do, but connections is the most important thing, in my opinion, and not just this industry, but all of them, any
Yes.
business. And you end up losing all those connections by kind of just thinking it's you versus everyone else when it's really not. It's all of us versus Google, essentially, right? So,
And the market
yeah,
is so big. I don't think we will
yeah,
any day gonna fall short. And now in last few years, I've made so many friends. all of them run SEO agencies, and we don't feel anything like we share, just like you said. So we don't exactly as a mastermind, but we share a lot of things. We share lots and lots of data and lots of help each other around. And I feel very good about it. And especially they feel good about it, because me reaching at this stage, I don't fear sharing anything, and they also reciprocate in the same. On to the next part. So SEO is always changing, algorithm updates, new platforms, AI advancements. How has your approach to SEO evolved over the year, and what strategies has remained constant?
Yeah, so for me, the biggest two that I'd say have remained constant is on-page SEO, bread and butter, making sure that's always good, always down packed, as it should be, and PBNs. I'm still a huge PBN guy. I know many people may not be, which is fine for me. It works out better for me, to be honest, if they're not. But I'm still huge into PBNs. I've also obviously integrated other stuff than before. Like when I first started, everything was 100% PBNs. Now you integrate guest posts and some other things into it, sure. But the main recipe for me is still PBNs. And um, for me, like I want to say I have this passion when it comes to PBNs because most of my career began with me, first off, selling PBNs, and then it also evolved to me just literally no longer selling them, just using them for all my projects because I had so much business coming in. So that's kind of what stayed consistent. Now, what changed obviously is AI. AI is great in the sense that it now takes care of almost all the content that I needed before. Before I would have to either outsource writing, or I'd have to have a bunch of members on my team taking care of writing. And I always hear people who complain like, "Oh, AI is taking jobs." Yeah, it takes some jobs, but it creates a whole bunch of new ones too at the same time. And that's another thing that people don't really truly understand. So for me now, everything that we do in the agency, I try to automate as much of it as possible. Now, for me, I don't look at that like getting rid of people because I don't really get rid of my staff. I just move them on to other things because I don't want them like before, it used to be a thing where if you were hiring members of your staff, regardless of where you hired them from, you would hire people and you would want to give them the work you didn't want to do, like quote unquote grunt work, right? Well, now that AI can handle a lot of that work, now you give them higher level things to do, which then allows you as the business owner to go even higher than you ever were before. It's always a net positive. It's not really a negative. So AI we implement, of course, as you know, across all of pretty much everything we do. We have it for our content, we have it for automations. I have automations built that'll automatically take when someone writes an article and they go ahead and put it into Google Drive, it'll automatically send it over to Neuron. Neuron will go ahead and give it a score through the API. There's so many things I wasn't able to do before because I'm not a programmer, coder, don't have anyone on my team that is. But through so many things through automation and asking things like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not a coder. Help me out. Literally giving you the code, walking you through the steps. Like I didn't know how to use Visual Studio Code at all about a couple of years ago. ChatGPT, hey, I don't know how to use Visual Studio Code. Walk me through how to set it up on my Mac. Walk me through everything step by step. I have a bunch of applications that it's also giving me code for that automate a lot of things that used to take me some time to do. It's all about just being more efficient. And like any business in general, you want to be as efficient as possible, which will help you be as profitable as possible. And also, it makes your staff feel better. Like they're no longer doing grunt, shitty work. They're doing
Right,
stuff that they feel proud of, stuff that
right.
they know has an impact. And, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that answered your question. I didn't really ramble.
Now,
Sometimes I can go off on tangents. I just want to make sure I don't.
okay. Now, what are your thoughts on diversification in digital marketing, and how important is it to offer services beyond just SEO, especially in today's world?
Oh, it's super important. So there's a interview on YouTube that I had done. I want to say, let me try to think of the year, because before I was living in this house that I had built, and I had my house built 8 years ago. So I want to say this is maybe 9 years ago or so. I did an interview, and I specifically said inside of that interview, like the way I see the future of SEO is not just SEO. You want to be able to do everything. So you want to be able to take care of their ads. You want to be taking care of web design. You want to take care of their SEO. You want to take care of all aspects of marketing, because if you think about it, it helps in a lot of different ways. First off, for the client, like it kind of goes into the sales psychology, and some people get uncomfortable talking about it. I don't. You want it to be as painful as possible for your client to leave you. Now, you don't want to be a dick about things. And what I mean by being painful, meaning if a client has you as the SEO agency, but they have someone else doing their PPC and they have someone else doing their web design, it's very easy for them to leave any one of those three to go ahead and find a new company. But if you're
Right.
taking care of all three and more, it's super painful for them to leave because first off, they have to find an agency that can handle all those things. They then need to make sure the agency can actually deliver on all those things. And then it takes time away from them running their actual business to find these type of companies that can do it. So the more you can offer your client, I always recommend the better. So diversifying is not only great when it comes to diversifying your money, right? But it's also great for your business as well. Like I want to offer as many different things as possible. Anything that a client needs, I'm going to say we can get it done because if we can't ourselves, once again, networking. I have wonderful friends that can. Like, for example, we don't do anything with paper mailing. Like, we don't have that capability in my agency. But I have a buddy who does. That's kind of his whole business is sending out paper mailing to for businesses and flyers and advertisement. So if a company tells me, "Hey, we need paper flyers and banners, etc." Okay, cool, no problem. I'll get back to you on a quote on what it'll cost. Touch base with my buddy. He'll give me a quote. I mark it up some. Boom, we're good to go. He handles the fulfillment. I don't need to worry about it. He's someone that I trust. So just offering as many things as possible. I don't want to say never, but I'll rarely ever tell a customer no if there's something that they want as part of their marketing that we can't offer. The only thing that I can't offer people that I don't really have a connection to, and if you do, I'd be more than happy to connect with you or someone you know who can, is for a television advertisement. It's the only thing that I can't really offer anyone, but any other forms of advertising, billboards, whatever it is, I always say yes because I have a connection for it, for everything. So I say definitely offer everything that you can that's within your network. Now, don't offer things that you tell someone, yes, you can do it, and then you're scrambling trying to find someone to do it. That just will
Mhm.
probably end up badly, but it's all about
Right.
building those connections.
Right. Now, you built a highly profitable agency, of course, with a strong client retention. What key systems or approaches have worked best for keeping clients long term?
Yeah, great question. So this kind of goes back to when I first met you actually at the Legit event. There I had spoke about client retention. And one of the
Yeah.
things in particular that we've implemented for a couple of years now that has helped a lot is having a client success manager. And for this client success manager, there's a lot of different training that we do with them. But one of the most important things is we want them to understand that whatever clients they're assigned, like that is 100% their focus. We don't like to give them additional work or anything else that doesn't relate to those particular clients. And keep in mind, you don't need to have them be full time if you don't have enough clients for it. Maybe they just work part time, which is fine too. But their whole job and focus is to know, understand this client. And I always look at it like if you are a sports star, for example, every sports star has an agent. That's the person that works on behalf of the sports star for negotiating, for understanding what they need and getting the superstar whatever it is they need. In this instance, the client to me is a superstar. They're the one paying us. So my customer success manager is the agent. They're always communicating with them, seeing what they need, making sure they're good, making sure they're happy, and relaying back to us anything that they may see. Hey, the client said that they're happy, but I can kind of tell based on all the conversations we've had before, they had a little bit of a tone today. Like you want someone who will understand and pick up on those things because they know the client so intimately that they're always making sure that they're happy. So first off, the client success manager is great, not just for kind of relaying information to us, but it also makes the client feel like, wow, these people care. Because how many other agencies has this client been through? Probably a bunch before they get to us. And they don't have that level of, they can speak directly to someone. Usually they have to send an email or leave a message in Basecamp and pray and hope that someone gets back to them quickly. You know what I mean? Whereas the customer success manager, they're in Slack with them. The minute they go ahead and at them, as soon as they can, and I always tell the agency, I mean, not agency owners, the actual business owners, as long as it's within business hours, because someone's gonna send a message late on Saturday and be like, "Hey, no one got back to me." Well, it's the weekend. It's late on Saturday. You need to understand. But as long as it's during business hours, the customer success manager is gonna get back to them and say, "Hey, here's an answer for you," or "I'm gonna get back to you by tomorrow." Just making sure that the customer always feels like they're understood, they're heard, and they're not waiting for anything because while we can always get new clients, we tend to forget clients can just always get new SEO agencies. It's much easier for them to leave us and get a new one than it is for us to get a new client. Because you and I both know customer acquisition isn't always the easiest thing, right? Like you spend a lot of time, energy, effort, and most importantly, money to get new clients. You don't want to lose them. So I feel like holding on to them is the most important thing. So the customer success manager is the first most vital part of it.
Right now, many agencies struggle with client churn. What are biggest mistake agencies make when it comes to keeping client happy?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest one is probably thinking that you can just send them a report once a month. And as long as the rankings are up and traffic is up, the clients are happy. Yeah, that's true. And that works sometimes for a little bit, but it won't work for years and years and years. Now, don't get me wrong. We have a couple of clients that I'll hear from them maybe once a year, and I don't hear from them again because they're just so busy all the time and they continue to pay us and things work out great. But most clients aren't like that. That's like a dream client, right? They're few and far in between. Most clients in general, they're going to want some form of communication. So when it comes to that in particular, sending just a report once a month, that's not really good enough. You want to make sure that if you are sending a report, you're at least doing some form of video or audio, breaking it down for them. Because to them, you send them a report, they don't know what the hell they're looking at. They're like, what is this? What is this report supposed to mean? Yes, my phone is ringing, but I don't understand this stuff you're sending. So making sure that they at least have the education and understanding on the reports you're sending them, I say is critical. Because I've noticed, like you mentioned before, I've helped teach tens of thousands of people. And one of the big mistakes I see is they'll send someone a rankings report after the first month is over. Hey, look, all your rankings are up. And to the client, okay, cool. What does that mean for me? How much more money did I make? How much more traffic did I have? Like, I don't understand this stuff. So making sure that you break it down for them. And I think we oftentimes take it for granted that because we understand it, we assume that everyone else should. And the same way it is in any business, in any industry, you have people that are hyper intelligent and you also have people that are not so intelligent. But you need to explain it to both people. So you have to make sure you're able to understand that. Another big thing that I see people do when it comes to losing customers through churn is, once again, lack of communication. That's why that customer success manager is so crucial, because they're not just hearing from you once a month when it comes to a report. They're hearing from you and your company at least once a week to see how things are going. You're getting updated. Another big thing too that I spoke about at the Legit event and a couple of others is we also implement a customer success newsletter. So at least once a month, every single month, we email out to all of our customers, hey guys, this is what's happening in the field of SEO or marketing in general, or here are some things that we're doing to improve, or here are some results we had for a previous client that we had, or a current client. Here's how we obtain those results. Because oftentimes too, like we'll get a client who's on board for maybe PPC or just SEO. But through those newsletters, when we're highlighting other clients and what we've done for them on their SEO or their PPC, they'll come to us and say, hey, Greg, I noticed you sent out that email on how much, return on investment this client got from PPC. Can we add PPC to our business we're doing with you as well? It's a great way to upsell your business because you're not like directly pushing it to them. You're not directly trying to sell them. They're just reading amazing results you're getting for someone else, and they're already getting results from you to begin with on one aspect. Why wouldn't they want another one? So that also helps with churn because, like I mentioned in the beginning, it makes it more painful for them to leave because now they have two services with us. It'll help reduce churn in the first place. And as long as you continue to get results, which is the most important, right? Like any advice I give you won't help if you don't get results. You're going to have churn no matter what. So as long as you continue to get those good results, the churn will inevitably go down. Now, there's no way to prevent churn completely. You're always going to have that one client that you've gotten amazing results for. You've done amazing communication with, and for some reason or another agency convinced them that they're better and they're just going to leave. No matter what you do, it's like, okay, cool. But one of the unique things that we do is if a client leaves, we don't remove them from the newsletter. The reason why we don't remove them unless they specifically ask us or click the unsubscribe button is because we've had clients in the past that'll leave us and we keep sending our newsletter and keep sending it. And sometimes the update will roll out. And right away, the same day the update rolls out, we'll email all of our clients and let them know that newsletter what's happening. And that client that left gets that newsletter. And they're saying in their head, I left them. I'm with this new agency. And this new agency hasn't even informed me that my rankings are dropping because of this new algorithm change. But Gregory's agency knew about this. They emailed it, what the hell is going on? So they'll end up coming back to us. Hey, you know what? I'm so sorry I left you guys. You guys actually understand and have a pulse on what's happening in marketing. That agency that I left didn't end up working out. How can I get back with you guys? And of course, we'll welcome them in with open arms. We'll almost always charge them more because, hey, you left us. That was the old rate. This is the new rate now. Kind of like an extra fee for leaving us in the first place. But it's one of those things that you can also get back clients who've left you and who you've had churn with. Just because you churn them doesn't mean they're lost forever. You can get them back.
Right. Now, besides these, what are some other unconventional client retention tactics that work for you?
Unconventional, sorry, I'm just thinking this out loud. Besides the customer success manager and the customer newsletter, I would say it's probably, it ties in with the newsletter. It's us sharing results of other clients. Like, I notice a lot of agency owners, they keep their results of their clients either to themselves or maybe they'll share it on their own private, like Facebook wall or what have you, but they're not letting their other clients know, hey, we're having amazing success with client A, for example. Sharing those results, because oftentimes I find some people might be afraid where maybe they're not getting great results for client B and they don't want to share the great results they're getting for client A because client B might be like, hey, why aren't I getting these results? But it usually doesn't work out that way. What ends up happening is client B sees you're getting results for client A. First off, they're usually in a totally different field. And if they're not, they're in a totally different part of the world or a different city or a different state. So the results aren't going to be the same. And you can explain that if there's any pushback. But usually what happens is that crossover where it's like, hey, you know what? We may not be getting the results I desired with SEO. You're still getting me good results, but I expected, 10 times ROI. I'm only getting 4 to 5. Can we add PPC like you got for client A? I think that would be phenomenal. Then they start to see things skyrocket. So I say the most unconventional really is sharing results of other clients with other clients. Like a lot of people I know don't do that, and they're always just afraid of a client saying, hey, why aren't I getting those results? And you don't really get too many people who do that. We do have some who will say that, sure. But then you just go ahead and temper their expectations. It's usually someone that's still new or only have been with us 2 to 3 months and they're expecting the same results as someone who's been there a whole year. But it also helps with kind of going back to churn, like you mentioned. If I'm sharing results with someone who's been with us for a year and someone who's only been with us 4 or 5 months, they can now see light at the end of the tunnel. Instead of them being where like, oh man, we're really just breaking even. It's been 4 or 5 months already. What's happening? They can see, oh wait, if I'm patient and I give it more time, I'm going to get those kind of results as well. And I'd say that's like the biggest thing that's helped us a lot as far as retention goes.
Okay, that's honestly, I haven't used, I do have the newsletter, but not used any of these strategies yet. So I'll just an honest confession. But I would love to.
Absolutely. I would absolutely love to hear your results because once again, and I want everyone to understand too, that this has worked for myself and also has worked for literally hundreds of other agency owners that I've taught this to, but it may not work for everyone. That's fine. If it doesn't work, maybe it's the way the newsletter is being written. It could be the client base. It could be the industry. Maybe the industry is different. But for most people, it will end up working out. And I would love to hear your feedback if you do implement all these.
Definitely.
Keep me
In
posted.
fact, one of the newsletter is going in I think in an hour, in 45 minutes, one of the newsletter is about to go. So I can't do anything,
Excellent.
but yes, so we do that. So I have a quite a large, I'm very lazy with the newsletter, but I'm trying to be regular now. AI is helping, so that makes me more, I don't see any other excuse to make, honestly.
Well, I understand. I mean, kind of like we spoke about earlier, everyone gets busy. You as a business owner, a huge agency, you have so many other things going on and juggling. It's hard to implement every single thing that works for everyone. For sure. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the power of networking and events. You have mentioned that attending events has been crucial for your growth. Can you share a specific example of how an event has directly impacted your business and how has attending events accelerated your growth?
Yeah, so to be 100% transparent, I wouldn't be here with you now if it wasn't for me attending events. And the reason why I can say that is because the first event I ever attended was, like I had mentioned, I joined that group to learn how to do SEO. So they
Right.
had an event. So I joined them in March. No, I'm sorry, May. Was it May? Yeah, May. I joined them in May of 2014. And after joining them, I want to say it was in October or November. I can't remember which month was the first event. And I went to the event. It was in Nashville. I was super excited to be there. And one of the guest speakers actually happened to be Alex Becker. So for me, it was a full circle moment. It's like, oh my God, I got into this because I listened to this guy, watched his webinar, got into this group, and he's going to be speaking here. So I was super excited about it. And
Right.
I didn't really I personally didn't know many people at the event, but I was fortunate that most people at the event knew me. And what I mean by that is because I was having such great success in the beginning, the people who were running that group would oftentimes ask me to jump on like online webinars they were having. They would share my results in the group. So everyone in the group knew me, knew my success and everything. I didn't really know most people though face to face, but I had some conversations. So going there for me was interesting because when I went there were a lot of people excited to see me. I was excited to see everyone else. But because of me being there at that first event, and it's literally the event that changed my life, one of my buddies who I was just starting to become friends with at the time, he already had conversations with and somewhat knew Alex Becker. So after the event was over, we all head over to the bar, and Alex is sitting there, kind of by himself in his own circle of people who knew him, and everyone didn't want to crowd him or whatever. But my buddy calls me over. He's like, "Hey, you know." He's like, "Alex, this is Ortiz," because he always called me by my last name. Because one of the other founding members of that group, his name is also Greg, so it gets confusing. Gregory. So he's like, "Hey, this is Ortiz." And then Alex immediately says, "Oh yeah, I've heard and seen a lot about you in the groups. I'm thinking of restarting my entire training program, SourceWave, and I would like to know, would you like to be the person that teaches everyone on SourceWave what to do?" My mind at the time was blown, and I'm like, hell yeah. But I was like, yeah, of course, I would love to. Let's touch base more. Now, I'm going to be honest. At the time, I thought he was going to forget because he already drank a bunch at the time. And I'm like, this guy's not going to remember who the fuck I am. He's not going to remember to reach out to me and everything. Sure enough,
Uh,
though, the very next day, he messages me, says, "Hey, what do we got to do to get started? What are you looking for? Here's the percentage I'm offering." And my whole life changed just from that one conference. And I understand everyone else won't have the same type of life changing moment, but
right.
you'd be surprised at how many people I speak to have had their own versions of life changing moments of meeting people in all of these conferences. And that one was a huge one for me, changed my whole life. But every conference I've been to after, I always consistently continue to meet people who continue to elevate and grow my business and also continue to elevate and grow my knowledge, not only as a SEO or a marketer, but in business in general, and sometimes just in life in general. And I've made literally my closest friends in the entire world from meeting them at these events. They happen to be strangers when I first met them and end up leaving as family with a whole bunch of them, yourself included, obviously, now, right? Like, I
Yeah.
hadn't known you or anything before. We met at the legit event and we clicked right away. And
Right.
obviously, we're still here today, right? So it's
Yeah.
one of those things where if I had to recommend anything to anyone, it's 100% go to events. 100%. Now, if you're one of those people that are shy and you're not going to talk to people and you're not going to interact with people, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to put yourself out there. I can understand it can be super uncomfortable. Like for me personally, people know me, people see me, people have seen me and think I'm kind of like someone who's okay to be verbal and kind of out there and outspoken. You saw, Nav, when you were with me in South Carolina. I'm not really like that. I'm chill.
Yeah.
I like to be laid back and everything else. So I have the personality of a lot of people who would go to a conference and keep to themselves. But I have to put myself out there and I have to be someone that's introducing myself to people, having conversations with people, because I learned from the very first one I ever went to, you don't know what can happen from the people you meet, and you have no idea what can happen from the connections that you end up making. And for me, the most important thing is not even so much what people can do for you, because I think that's the wrong way to look at it. It's more of what can you learn from these people. I've learned so much from all these people that I meet, and not everyone becomes like a close friend, right? Like I don't have thousands of close friends, but my closest friends, like I mentioned, come from these events. But all the other people that I meet and that I'm just friendly with, or that I consider, someone who's an acquaintance, I learn so much from them too. And we're always able to touch base and reach out. A good example would be at an event. I want to say this event was maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago that I went to. There was
Mhm.
someone who used to be his old profession was a professional guitarist, but he happened to be in marketing, right, which I found funny. I end up coming across someone who's interested in doing marketing, but that they want to do it for their band. Now, I wasn't able at the time to help them because I couldn't really understand what they needed, but I went ahead and just referred them to that person. To this day, that person still has them as a client and they're doing extremely well. So you also don't know where referrals are going to come from you meeting people at these conferences. You can have someone that just refers clients to you based on what it is that you do what your expertise is, because all of us do things differently. All of us have different specialties, different expertises, and you won't know what people can do unless you're meeting them in these
Right.
conferences. Like, it's way different to meet people on Facebook and
Right.
type a couple of messages, but being at actual conferences and events, to me, is, in my opinion, the most important thing you can do in the industry.
Right. Now, what are your top tips for making the most out of industry conferences and networking events?
The top tip is going to be, first off, putting yourself out there, like I mentioned, making sure that you're someone who's going to be able to have conversations with people, but also being completely open and free with your information. Don't be one of those people that are guarded and maybe you're trying something and you're having great success with a case study you're doing and you don't want to share it. A lot of people are like that. That doesn't help you. It doesn't help anyone else. Share those results, because what ends up happening is you share those results with a group of people that you're starting to get friendly with at the conference, and guess what's going to happen? They're going to share their results with you. They're like, oh, okay, he's open enough to talk to me about it. Hey, well, you know what? I'm trying this, and this, and I noticed that this is working really well. You'd be amazed. I mean, you specifically know, because I'm sure you had the same experience, but so many people listening will be amazed at how many times you hear someone else talking about something that they're testing that you never thought of, and you're like, holy shit, that's working. You test it out and you start making money from it. So many times that's happened to me over my career. So many times I'm sure has that happened to you as well now? I imagine.
Yes,
Has it?
yes, yes. So a lot of things, in fact, a lot of things, it gives you a all different perspective of looking at the same problem. And you say, what? It was that simple? Sometimes that happens a lot with me. Yes.
Exactly. It's like the phrase they say, what is it? A fresh set of eyes, right? Like, you have a fresh set of
Right.
eyes looking at a problem, and it's like,
Yes.
wow, they figured that out. It's absolutely incredible. So I would say that would be the biggest thing. Don't like hoard information. Be free, be willing, be open to sharing, because that's why people come to these events. If you think about it, like, it's not like Facebook or anyone else where anyone could just jump on, sign on from their phone. People are taking their time to travel to these events. People are taking their time to go to hotels near these events. So people are more willing and able to share information because they're excited that there are other people like them that are taking it so seriously to come to these events, to take time away from their family, to take time away from their loved ones, to go ahead and go to these events. Why not be open and free with everyone? Because they're going to be the same with you.
Right. Now, for someone new to the industry, which SEO or digital marketing events would you recommend they prioritize?
Okay. So for me, the one of the best events I've ever been to is SEO Spring Training. That's one that Terry and his wonderful
Right.
wife Elizabeth have every single year. That one for me is absolutely incredible. I'd also recommend, if Chris does it again, I know he was on the fence about doing it again, but the Legit event where I met you, that was a great event as well. It was nice that it was a smaller event because we all got to know each other better. And that's another thing too that I do want to mention to people. Don't be intimidated if the event is large or if the event is small. There are benefits to both. To large events, you get to meet more people, you get to hear more perspectives. In small events, you get to meet people and become more friendlier on intimate levels as well. So there's opportunities in both of them. But those would be the two main ones that I recommend, just because those are the two that I go to. Now, that's not to say there's not plenty of other great events out there, and there absolutely are. Also, great events that I've spoken at, and I'm sure you've spoken about, that are great. But if someone is just getting started and wants to surround themselves with a great group of people, those would be the two that I recommend for two different reasons. Like, Legit was the more smaller, intimate one. Spring Training is that larger one with more personalities and more things that you'll learn as well. So just to kind of give you from both sides of the spectrum.
Right. I know we spoke a little bit about client retention and agency growth. Now, in your experience, what are the most common reason agencies lose clients, and how can these issues be addressed? Of course, besides being not very proactively open to clients.
Yeah, so I would say results, probably, right? Like, people often, like, it's something that should be like obvious to most people, but for some reason it isn't. And I understand when most people start, you get your first client, you're excited, and you're like, oh my God, I'm making money now. Now let me get those results. That's kind of the wrong way of thinking it. You should have a understanding on how to get results. And if you don't, that's fine if you want to learn, but your profit's going to have to be smaller, meaning you're probably going to have to outsource that first client to someone else to get the results. Because if you don't get good results, your reputation can be ruined and you might never end up rebounding from it. So first off, making sure you can get results. If you can't get results, rely on someone who can. Now, if you're already at the point where you can get results, the very next step after that is just communication, like I mentioned, of course. But I'd say it's more education than anything else. Like I mentioned before, most clients don't understand what we do. They think it's magic, right? What we do. They have no idea, no understanding. All they know is one day they were getting X amount of traffic, and what feels like the next day to them, they're getting 10 times the traffic. They have no idea how you did it, but they love you, they love your whole family, and they love everyone you ever interacted with for getting them more traffic. So just educating them a little bit better is super important, because when you're not having those highs and you're in the low period of things, they need to understand that not every month are we going to be 10 times up. It's eventually going to hit a point where it's going to flatline a little bit or go up slowly. And they need to understand why that happens, when it's going to happen, and most importantly, what are we going to do on our end next after that happens. They need to understand that, because if you don't, and you have your first month where your client gets, negative, maybe their rankings go down, maybe their traffic isn't doing well, and you didn't explain to them that the algorithm changes. You didn't explain to them that maybe you don't understand what's happening in the algorithm change yet, but you'll have a better idea in a week when everyone starts talking about it. If they don't understand this, they'll end up leaving you and going to someone else thinking you were the problem, when in reality you weren't. In the fact of getting results, you just were the problem in not relaying to them the right education. So I'd say educating your customers is probably the most important thing when it comes to that.
Now you have developed a system for client retention. So can you also share some other key components for an effective client retention strategy?
Yeah, so for me, the client retention strategy, the bread and butter is, like I mentioned, customer success manager, the customer success newsletter, and obviously getting results. Now, if we go beyond those three when it comes to retention, it's more of making sure that you're doing things in the best interest of the client. Oftentimes, we'll do like what's in our best interest because we want to be as profitable as possible, which is great. But if I already know that we're getting good results for a client and I want it to be better, why not pour in some extra money from their budget to get them even better results? Because the better results that they have, what ends up happening is what? They talk to all their business owner friends, which means more referrals coming their way, which also means they're going to end up staying longer. Too many times I'll find people that are doing like what we do in marketing. And yeah, the client's budget isn't going up, it's staying the same, but you're doing the same amount of work every single month. And some people think that's fine. That's not always fine. Some months you need to pour a little bit more gasoline on that fire.
Right.
Sometimes you pull it back a little bit. So being flexible, I'd say, is the next key step in client retention, is that you need to understand that there's going to be a month and it's going to happen. No matter what you do to prevent it from happening, there's going to be a month when the client's going to go down and it's going to be 100% out of your control. But if you have those other months where you pour a little bit more of the budget onto things to get them better results, it's going to be able to hold them and sustain them over. And most importantly, they'll have that trust in you because you've gotten them such great results. They're going to understand, hey, you know what? I'm going to ride this out with Gregory and his team right now, even though this month is a little bit wonky. And I think the big thing too, a lot of people forget, is the business owners, like, they're taking care of their family the same way we are. Like, their business pays for their family. So if their business goes down and they're still paying us, our business isn't going down, our family's not affected, but theirs is. And for me, it's always important to remember that when it comes to retention, at the end of the day, that's someone else and someone else's family on the other side. We need to do everything we can to make sure them and their family are good too, the same way we want them to keep paying on time to make sure us and our family are good too.
Right. Now, if an agency had to focus on just three SEO strategies in 2025, what would it be?
I would say automations, first and foremost, which also ties into AI. You can also put AI in its own category because not everything AI is automations, but really having a good system in place for all of your, AI tasks and kind of all the AI things you do and automations. I'd also say one of the big things that I neglected actually in the first couple of years of my business is standard operating procedures. Like, you'll create a SOP, which is great, but then many people forget to update it. Like, I went through the process this year of going through all the SOPs with all the other managers that I have on my team. And we realized, hey, a lot of these SOPs are outdated because now AI exists now when it didn't exist before. So now we have to update all these SOPs and get them going. So I say SOPs and having them up to date is one of the most important. A lot of people also will just rely on themselves to update SOPs. I empower all of my employees to because we use Notion primarily, by the way, for all of our standard operating procedures. So in there, they can comment at us the same way you can like Google Docs, Gregory or whatever. They'll comment, and let their manager know, hey, we no longer do X, Y, and Z. Please update this standard operating procedure, and boom, it'll get updated. No longer are we relying on ourselves to update it. Our team is telling us, hey, we don't do this anymore. We do this now, so we can keep them updated. I say that will be crucial. So getting your AI automation systems in place and making sure your standard operating procedures are exactly where they need to be. And then third and most importantly, I'd say is continuing to further your own education, not necessarily in SEO and marketing, which you should be doing all the time, but in business. Because
Right.
the more you understand business as a business owner, and the more you understand how to grow your organization and hopefully eventually either sell your business or just keep it going forever, whatever people want to do, that's going to be the most important key aspect is continuing to grow as a business owner. Too many people get stuck in the hamster wheel of just running their everyday business and keeping things going. And then when 5 years pass, they then say to themselves, well, damn, like my business isn't doing as well as it did 5 years ago. That's because you didn't grow in the last 5 years. Your business may have, but you as a business owner didn't. And now you can't handle these changes that are taking place. I say those three would be the most important.
Okay. With that, we come to the last section of our podcast, which is rapid fire round. So I'll ask you a few questions and you need to answer what comes first thing in your mind.
Okay,
Okay.
as quickly as possible. I got it. I love these type of games.
Okay. What's the biggest SEO myth that needs to die?
PBNs are dead. That drives
Okay.
me crazy. I hear people all the time say PBNs are dead.
I'm with you on that. One SEO tool that you can't live without.
Um, SEO specifically? Oh, I'd say
Time is running out.
I know. I'm just trying to think of one. If I had to pick one, it'd be Search Atlas for me. I use that as opposed to Ahrefs. Some people can use Ahrefs too, whichever. But I think those tools are invaluable because they give you so much data.
Okay. One book every digital marketer should read.
Um, I'd say Profit First. It's not necessarily digital marketing related, it's business related. And if you own a business, you should read it. In my opinion, it's one of my favorite. Profit First, right there. It changed my whole aspect on how I pay myself, how I do business just in general.
Okay. Most underrated SEO tactic.
Underrated. Oh, that's a good one. I'd say probably on-page SEO. Too many people skip how important it is, and they don't really understand how powerful it is. They
Okay.
just think they point a bunch of links and it's good. Yeah.
Your proudest professional achievement.
Oh, I would say it's many of them, by the way, because they all kind of go together. But there's so many people that I've helped quit their day job to do this full time. So I'd have to put them all together. For me, it's always been my proudest achievement because I know how happy I was when I was able to quit my job. So I can't name one of those people. It's literally hundreds of them. But every person that's ever been able to quit their day job due to any little bit of help I've been able to give them, that's always my proudest achievement.
What's the best investment an agency owner can make?
Your people, making sure you take the time to vet and actually go in depth and interview and most importantly train your staff. The most important. Otherwise, you're doing everything yourself.
Gregory, where can people find you, follow your work, or reach out to you? That's my final question.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'd say the best place is probably Facebook. You can easily find me. Just put my name, Gregory Ortiz. It's the best place for me to keep in touch with all of my marketing buddies. All my other social media, it's really just personal stuff. Like my Instagram, it's mainly just friends and family because I'm posting just stuff going on in my personal life. But business-wise, marketing-wise, everything else, Facebook is the best place to get in contact. And for anyone that's watching and friend request me, I apologize if you message me and I'll get back to you right away. Because just like Nav, I'm sure I get hundreds of messages every single week. It's hard to keep up with all of them, but I do get back to everyone, I promise. So I say
All
Facebook
right.
is the best place to reach out.
Okay. Gregory, this has been an absolute masterclass in SEO and business. And thank you so much for sharing your insight.
I really appreciate you having me here. This has been one of the best ones I've done so far. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so happy to be here. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And to our listeners, if you find this episode valuable, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. See you in the next episode of the Agency Insider Show. Thank you.